I can't deny the fact that since I don't drive this regularly, and hell, I don't drive anything regularly anymore. I don't daily drive anything because I don't daily drive. But one of the things that's become notable to me is what you just saw, and that is how much cranking it's going to take to get this vehicle to run if it hasn't run for a week. If I was driving it every day or even say 3 days a week, I probably wouldn't have this problem. I would come out, pump it 3 times, and it would fire right up. But let it sit a week, and it takes a bit of cranking to get going, and that's annoying me. I don't want to keep having to do that, and I'm pretty sure the problem is I've got a volatile liquid up here. It's evaporating. There's not enough gas to get into it, and I think if I just had pressurized fuel up there when I turned the key, it would start just like it did if I was driving it every day. I have a Holley Red electric fuel pump, which I bought years ago for another project and never used, and I have a fan wiring kit, pretty decent one. It's not a fuel pump wiring kit, it's a fan wiring kit, but it's pretty much the same thing. It comes with a 40 amp relay, which probably is a cheap relay, but it's got a lot of nice wiring on it. I think there's enough wiring there, so I shouldn't have a lot of issue there. I should have all the connectors and everything I need here. I may change the mounting method. This is a pretty heavy pump compared to the little one that used to be in it when I was running the projection. I don't need a pump like this. The only reason I'm using this pump is because I have it. So I could use a $30–40 pump meant for TBI in it, and it would be fine. But I have it, so I'm going to use it. Let's get under there with the fuel pump and see if I can find a spot to mount it. Probably very close to where the other one was mounted. But this is just going to go, I want the fuel pump, a fuel filter before the pump, so this is going to mount. Geez, I wish that wasn't so tall, but I think I can mount that right there, and I will be above the frame rail. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Not sure about self-tappers there. This pump is really heavy. I'll have to think about if I really want to mount this with just self-tappers or not. And I need a filter for there, and I'll bet I do not have one. I kind of got stymied putting the fuel pump in, since I really want to put nut certs in the frame rails to mount that. I think that fuel pump's just a wee bit too heavy for self-tappers. I thought about, getting a chunk of metal, thick chunk of metal, drilling it, tapping it, and then welding it to the frame rail. And there's no kill like overkill, but that might be that might be too much even for me. So I kind of put that off, and since it was early and I still felt like piddling around, I figured I'd do the wiring. I didn't get any of it on camera, but here is the relay. The yellow wire is running into that loom over to the fuse panel I put in, I don't know, a few weeks ago, a month ago here. This is a 12-volt key-on fuse panel, and I have a 10-amp fuse in for it. This is the wire here, and I don't know if 10 amps is enough for that Holley fuel pump or not, but I got a box full of 10-amp fuses, so it's what I put in. If it blows it, I'll get another one. I'll put a 15 or a 20 in it. So after that, the white wire is my ground wire, and it's running around to here. Red wire goes to battery positive. It's running around under here. It goes to this 30-amp breaker. Then it comes out of that 30-amp breaker around to my battery terminal. I also had to kind of remake this a little bit because I have this existing 30-amp breaker. It's for the electric fans, and it was mounted right in the middle. So I wound up having to kind of remake that, but that's fine. I like the newer one better anyway. And the only other wire that goes to it is the blue wire, which goes around to the fuel pump, which is down there on the ground. So, all right, there's my riv nut in there. So I think I have something that'll work right here. There we go. Let's get some 5/16 bolts, and let's get our fuel pump mounted. Okay, fuel pump is completely in, or it's all mounted, and it's connected to the fuel lines with a new fuel filter. I got to get the power wire hooked up, and I'm going to put some of that ribbed split wire cover over the power wire that runs back to the pump. I'm going to get it wire zip tied up. I got to run a ground wire back there, which is just going to be a short stub wire to the frame. And then I have to, wiring is all done under here. All I have to do is take the mechanical pump off and connect the fuel line where it comes up to here, right there. Down here, I've just got to connect that back to here, and that's pretty much, put the block off plate on. That's pretty much it, and we're going to be done with this job. So here is my completed setup at the fuel pump. I'm trying to keep the sun from shining directly into the camera lens. Ground goes to right here. I have my split loom. It's only a single wire in the split loom. There's my fuel filter set up. And then we go all the way forward on that split loom up to the relay. All right, I believe I am done under here, assuming nothing leaks and everything works. So, all right, I believe I am all set. My block plate is in and sealed. Now the fuel line, the steel fuel line where it comes up, it runs all the way forward to here, where it would have, I don't know if you can see that, where it would have gone to the mechanical fuel pump. I would kind of sort of like to have shortened it there, and then this one comes here, and again to go to the mechanical fuel pump. These steel lines still have their factory beads on the end, and I really hate cutting it. Also, I really have no way to bend that steel line without crushing it, and no way to put the bead on the end. So I think I'm just going to leave it, this extra loop in it for now. I have temporarily put my fuel pressure gauge back on. Now be aware, if you haven't watched my videos, this system has a fuel filter with a return line back to the tank. I have my regulator set to 3 psi. I do not expect to see 3 psi here, but let me stick the camera there and let me turn the key on and let's see what happens. Definitely hear it running, sure isn't as loud as the old one. I see no pressure here yet. Let me check for leaks. I am going to pinch the return line off and let's see what happens to our pressure here. So pinching the return line off now. Nothing. I got nothing. Do I have anything here? I have nothing. Outlet, inlet. There's your problem, mister. You know, I don't even know what to say for myself. So here's what I need to do. I'm going to have to disconnect the hoses, and then I'm going to have to loosen the pump in the filter, rotate the pump 180, and connect it back up. Not the end of the world, but how did I not see that? I mean, how did I not see that? Well, that was loads of fun. The pump just wouldn't spin in the bracket because it was glued to the rubber isolator that was in there. So I had to pull everything off and out of the vehicle and take it inside of the bench. And of course they're barbed fitting, so I had to cut the hoses. Oh God, I'm telling you, that is classic Chuck. Classic Chuck. Okay, I believe it is. I believe it is reconnected. Well, I'm going to turn the power on and let's see what happens now. That sounds more like a pump that's building pressure. Oop, I saw the needle move slightly. Let's pinch the return line and see what's going on. Oh, that is noisy, isn't it? Even with that rubber isolator in there. I may have to rubber mount it too. I'm going to pinch the line now. And my line only goes up to 1 psi pressure only goes up to 1 psi when I pinch the return line. Let's set this for 3 with the mechanical pump. Let's see if we got some fuel here. Well, that clamp's worthless. Well, okay, I got fuel. You know, that clamp's pretty worthless, but it's not leaking. I see I'm reading 1 now. There was probably some air in it. Let's pinch the return line. Now it's coming up over 1. Let's start it up, see what happens. Well, I love the way it started up. Sitting at 1 psi with the return line unclamped. Let's clamp it and see what happens. Not going up. Sitting at 1. Let it run for a minute, make sure I get all the air out of the lines, then I'll adjust the fuel, pinch the return line off and adjust the fuel pressure at the regulator. All right, I'm going to pinch that return line. All right, return line is pinched. See if I can adjust this fuel pressure. There we go. Well, I find it hard to believe 2 psi is all that pump has. That pump is supposed to be internally regulated. I think it's 7. Well, apparently 2 psi is all that pump has. Not 100% sure why that is, but all right, I'm going to turn it up till it says 2, and I don't know what else I can do. I have unblocked the return. But I don't know. It's now been 3 or 4 days since I completed the electric fuel pump install, and I'm just kind of curious to see if that makes it start easier. And I have not started this vehicle since that day. I've been working on the Mustang, and I've had client work and other things to do. So let's see if having that pressure right at the fuel pump before I crank, instead of having to wait for it from the mechanical pump, let's see if that makes it easier to start. It's not cold out. It's about 80 degrees out. It's in the afternoon, so there is that. But here we go. There's that. Oh, it's even louder than the old pump. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pumps. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's a little bit better. Not as good as I was hoping for, but it is a little bit better. Almost caught that first time. I may have to do something about how loud that pump is. I think the bottom of the pump, after I turned it around, the bottom of that pump has that bulge, which was on the outside and is now on the inside. I think that might be up against the frame, and I can probably fix that. Might do that in another video. I need to stay on the Mustang for now. Anyway, that's it for this video. Maybe I'll work on making that pump quieter in a future video. But for now, I need to get back to work and get that Mustang engine finished. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.